Good morning, guys. How are we all doing? So Dan from Trading with Dan here. This is our Bitcoin morning update. So if you guys wouldn't mind smashing that like button, and we will go straight over to those charts. So yeah, after yesterday's pretty epic sell-off, or the last couple of days, all the way from 40k down to 30k, we are currently having a nice bounce here. I just would like to point out as well, 4-hour chart, TD for our TD9. You guys will know they've been following my channel for a while. 4-hour charts are my favorites for the TD9s, and yeah, you can see literally. Yeah, perfect bounce off the TD9 at our basically support level. So yeah, pretty textbook there. You can see the TD9 there called the top before this big pullback there. We kind of traded sideways into that TD9 and then broke above it. This one here pretty much called a top. This one called a top of this move up before trading sideways. So yeah, that one sort of called a top before trading sideways before we broke up. So TD9s on the 4-hour are particularly good ones to use. Just a quick FYI. So yeah, we're having a nice bounce. Obviously, we have got to be still aware of this head and shoulders with a projected target of around, well, the low 20Ks. But obviously we are looking good for the time being. But some people in the chat were asking what I meant by how we're not in the clear yet. I mean, basically this could easily we could trade up to this resistance level 38k, hang around here again, start to come down, start to trade down, and that would still be quite clearly a head and shoulders that can clearly then eventually come down, break 30k and come lower. So whilst we can all currently get wrapped up in basically the fact that we're just going to go back up now, it was just a BTFD, we're going back up onwards to new highs. It's just a bit premature to do that because, like I said, if we basically came up here, traded around here, started to come down a bit, then we still clearly got a head and shoulders, and that could clearly still happen even with, I mean, you can see with the price action we've got so far, it can happen. So what would pretty much invalidate that for me would be, well, obviously I have already said holding above about the 35k level, so holding above here, because clearly if we hold above here, then we don't break 30k and come lower and basically play out the inverted head and shoulders, sorry. So obviously holding 35k means we can't basically go lower than 30k, obviously. So holding 35k, fantastic. If we can consolidate here, start to move upwards, that would be great. Also, well, getting above 38k, it would invalidate the structure of this head and shoulders. So regardless of what happens in the future, whether we do come down, it won't be that inverted, that head and shoulder. I don't know why I keep that's my bullish mentality with Bitcoin, to say inverted head and shoulders, because they're obviously the bullish ones. But no, the head and shoulders, because this is obviously a potential bearish one. Yeah, if we break above here, we break the structure of that, and then if we break above 38k, I would realistically be looking at some sideways trading in here. Sideways trading, maybe even a test back down of the 35k to put in what could be a larger time frame ascending triangle, and then a blast on up to the upside. So if we actually just calculate, I mean, we are basically crystal ball talking about larger time frame patterns. So we've talked about the head and shoulders bearish pattern, so we will talk about the potential for an ascending triangle pattern if we come all the way back up here, back down. So we'll just have a look just for the sake of it. What would that give us? What would that give us as a target? It would give us as a target of, oh well, basically just over 50k. So around this level here, say just over. I mean, yeah, quite a bit over. So almost mid 50ks. So we've got that on the cards. So we have got the battle of two formations. One of them is clearly more developed and more potentially possible, but obviously can get invalidated. And the other one, we would still be waiting longer for that. We'll be waiting for a move into this zone, potentially a pullback to 35k, and move back up to that zone, and then we'll potentially be looking for a breakout. So just some absolute, probably total useless TA there for basically day-to-day trading. But yeah, but to be honest, this is a nice bounce off the lows. We are definitely getting quite a bit more momentum here than one would expect if we are gonna reverse this medium-term trend and go down. This is a pretty aggressive move up. If we look at it on a 12-hour, I mean, you can see the absolute the bullishness of that candle, the bullishness looking, how bullish that candle looks. That's what I'm trying to say. You will also note the 12-hour TD9 at the top there as well, and just have a quick look on the daily. Yeah, there you go, daily TD9 as well. So was it on the cards based on the TD? Well, 12-hour daily, and also, well, not the 4-hour. Obviously not the 4-hour, but we probably got a 9 somewhere in this but it doesn't want to load. It doesn't want to load at the moment. So, but yeah, if we go to the 12-hour, you can kind of see the bullishness of that candle. Even the daily, you can see how long that wick is and how much of the candle we were bought back up. So far, not looking so bad, guys, basically. We had two TDs on 2 good time frames that did basically trigger a sell-off. But, yeah, I mean, 1 to 4 candle correction. 1, 2, 3. So there's 3 candles. Well, if you can call this part of the correction. Obviously, it is because it's lower. But, yeah, 3 candles. So this is on a daily. We could just be going back up. This could be the usual scares that we get in Bitcoin. Don't forget, when we get these moves, people panic, people get scared, and they don't want to buy. People always talk about buying the dip. People up here talk about I'll buy if it comes down, and then when it comes down, they don't want to buy. It's textbook. And then people, when we come up to like these 40Ks, people then just don't want to sell because they think we're going to keep going up. So that's just the mentality. When it's going up, some people think it's going to keep going up. When it comes down, people think it's going to keep coming down. So whereas there's people would say, yeah, buy low, sell high. People can often end up doing the opposite, i.e. buying high and selling low. But yeah, so that's pretty much as much as I wanted to talk about Bitcoin. Also, I just want to kind of show you guys this actual inverted head and shoulders, you know, my favorite type, the bullish type. On the 1 hour time frame, you can see most clearly, and if we look at a projected target for this, we've actually broken the neckline of this already. So there we go. Are we looking at a move back up into this zone, and then potential some sideways down there, maybe a move back down to test this neckline again, to test this level, and then paint that ascending triangle? Are we doing that? Are we doing that? We shall see. We shall see. So let's have a look at my other favorite chart in cryptocurrency, the Ethereum Bitcoin one, because obviously you guys know I'm pretty deep into altcoins, particularly DeFi altcoins. Ethereum is the coin of DeFi. So this bullishness in this against Bitcoin just bodes well for most of my investments. So yeah, as you can see, we're trading within this range. We have got these 2 thicker lines because these were 2 very important levels for me. So it is no surprise at all. We are trading between these important levels whilst we decide whether we are going to bust above and go on a massive pump up, or whether we are going to break below, go back bearish again, and basically ruin my life. Not really. That was a bit hyperbolic, but yeah. But yeah, whether we go down. But yeah, obviously, I am erring obviously on the side of bullishness because that's what I think is going to happen. Bitcoin leads a larger cap altcoin second, i.e. Ethereum, and then it filters down to the rest. But so Bitcoin has clearly gone on a run. We all know that. if we are indeed going to get some sideways within this range for for a few days, maybe even a few weeks, then I would expect this to probably start to get a move on. Bitcoin dominance as well. You guys will know, right? I prefer looking at this as my gauge of the altcoin market, as opposed to this, because this does include all the altcoins. And I know this just includes one altcoin, but I think this includes a relevant altcoin, the most relevant altcoin to the crypto market, whereas this includes everything, including loads of rubbish. So whilst I do look at this is good to look at, and I do want this to break down as well. This is the main one I look at basically. So yeah, just to clarify that. Also you will note our old friend, the Head and Shoulders. Head and Shoulders everywhere at the moment. Have we got a Head and Shoulders forum on the BTC BTC.D? And let me tell you now, guys, if this plays out, oh God, if this plays out when we get down to 65%, I spoke about this anyway the other day as a projected target. If this plays out and we get down to here, not a projected target of this is Head and Shoulders, but incidentally it matches up with the same target I was saying of basically a back test of this this trend line. And I could say back test because yeah, like I said, we could bounce off this and then continue bullish, completely possible, not probable. I don't know whether it's probable. I would hesitate to say whether it's what I think is most likely, but it's completely possible. We bounce off here, go bullish, and altcoins basically just get super wrecked then as we go up to like 85%. But we could then lose that level. If we lose that level, and if we drop back into this larger descending wedge after having just played out this little foray to the upside, and then we start to make a beeline for the bottom, which would basically be the target if we break back in. If we swing failure out of a formation and then swing back in, well, obviously swing failure indicates swinging back in, then the target is basically the other end of the formation. So I mean, whilst if we did that, we'd end up probably hitting it somewhere down here. So we'd be looking at 50%, guys. And if we're in altcoins, that's just like that is literally the stuff dreams are made of. That is literally like 2016, 17 XRP Ethereum gains in many altcoins. So yeah, anyway, just yeah, complete speculation there again as well. So I need to behave. Right, so we do need to talk about the DXY. We do need to talk about the DXY because we have got potential problems here, and I'm not just talking realistically about the chart. I'm talking about just macroeconomic things. So there is a theory going around FinTwit. Financial Twitter. So my Twitter, I basically follow various financial analysts that I basically think are good. And I am noticing. So what we have got going on, we have got the 10-year yield rising. So we have basically got people selling treasuries. We've got less countries buying US treasuries. So obviously there's less demand, so that yield is going up. People then say, well, that's people not wanting to deal with the dollar anymore, etc., etc. All fine, that is all fine, but let me tell you where the problem comes in. Are people selling treasuries? Are countries selling treasuries because they need dollars? Is there a demand? Is there an underlying demand for dollars, which is the reason behind people selling treasuries to get those dollars because they need them to service dollar-denominated debt? That is, if there is a demand for dollars, then that is clearly bullish for the dollar. Obviously, the yield going up is bullish for the dollar. If you get a higher yield on an asset, then obviously it's good for that. It's good for that asset. It's more people will want to buy it if they're getting a higher return on it. So if you understand that concept as well. So the opposing force, because this is where I haven't noticed any financial analysts fully connect all the dots. Right, the opposing force is yield curve control. So the US, the Fed, and other central banks are not going to let interest rates basically keep going up. They're going to have to pin them, and basically how they do that is yield curve control. They've done it before. They've done it in Japan. They do it in Japan, and they will do it basically in the US because it does appear that yield is that 10-year yield is gonna keep rising, and that it is literally just gonna blow up the financial system. We are well beyond the point of critical mass. Critical critical mass, whatever, for basically world debt. There is companies have too much debt, governments have too much debt, people have too much debt. we can't have higher rates. Nobody can have high rates. That is it. We are basically past the point of no return. So yields will have to be pinned. Right. So now yield curve control. A lot of people's instant reaction is, okay, they're going to have to print loads more dollars to pin that down. Therefore, that's bearish on the dollar. That is obviously the first assumption that most people will jump to. Bearing in mind, people are not even connecting all these dots full stop anyway. Anyway. But you get to the concept of the actual dynamics of yield control. But what they don't understand, and this was proven in Japan, to actually pin a level. To pin a level, if they said, right, we are gonna pin this level, people like, it gets tested basically. So they have to then print a load of that currency to then basically pin that level down. But so what Japan did at one point, they came out and said, look, right, regardless of, we are going to print on any amount, unlimited amounts, to keep this level here, and that is that you fighters, you'll lose. So okay, people might think, well, they've said they're going to print unlimited amounts. That is unlimited amounts of the currency printed. Clearly bearish on the currency. Sell. But they just forget. In reality, if you're being told that is they're going to print unlimited, and you're not going to be able to beat their where they're pegging the yield curve, then you're just not going to do it. So if you don't basically test it because you just know that you can't beat it, how much do they actually have to sell to pin the yield curve where it is? How much currency do they have to print? So the answer to that is not much. So that then doesn't become massively bearish for the currency that people are thinking. So we are going to have basically, so we've got opposing forces, guy. Not to mention the whole MMT thing as well, UBI thing or whatever, printing more currency for that. Yeah. But we've got that. We've got basically the rising yield, people selling the treasuries, people not wanting dollars. Is that bearish? We've got yield control. Is that bearish? Or is people selling treasuries? Is it actually bullish because there's demand for dollars? And is yield curve control not actually going to be at all bearish for the dollar because they're not actually going to have to print much because people are going to try and fight them? So this is what makes the market, this is what we live for. Opposing forces. There is always a battle of the bulls and the bears, people in various camps, people thinking various things. The bears may gain control as market sentiment goes one way, the bulls make it, and clearly market sentiment has been the bearish way. Again, I've been saying when we were down here, look guys, everybody is bearish of the dollar. This thing is probably going to come up to at least 92. Decide then if it's going to actually go full bullish or whether it's just going to be a head fake and come back down. My technical analysis, just view on it is that it just will be a good. It just be a typical breakdown, back test, and then continue down. So that is my view. But there are opposing forces, and this thing can do what it wants. So I know that was a bit of a deep dive. How long is this video? Wow, sorry about that, guys. 18 minutes so far. I know that's a bit of a deep dive into the dollar, but this does have implications on the rest of our markets. So all markets, the dollar basically drives the dollar markets. You get the dollar right, you get the markets right, basically. So this is the most important thing. Also, I have incidentally noticed there are a few other crypto analysts that I do look at every now and again, and it's just funny that how maybe 3 or 4 months ago no one spoke about the dollar. I obviously talk about it in a lot of my videos, and have done for a long time, and now all of a sudden they all talk about the dollar, they all talk about the DXY. It's interesting, that, isn't it? Anyway, so let's go over to Bitcoin, and we'll do our usual finish off with a look at the stochastics. How are they looking? So 4 hour is pointing up, come very low. It has come very low, and it is now looking to go on a drive back up. And bear in mind where we are in Bitcoin at the moment, the price level. Does that mean this head and shoulders, inverted head and shoulders has a good chance of playing out up to about 39k, possibly based on the 4 hour? 10 hour, how is that looking? I mean, 10 hours still diving, but obviously you can see it's starting to get a bit of a kink. could potentially start to turn over at some point. 12-hour diving's got room to run. So if short term we can get, we're currently at 36k. If short term we can get another 3k push up, then I mean I would definitely expect some sort of sideways to down after that. Daily as well coming down, but yeah, I mean daily is coming down. This is potentially bearish. 2-day coming down, 3-day, 5-day. So when I say potentially bearish, in a bull market, stochastics, when they start to turn down, they do not necessarily mean price action is going to turn down. It means price action can trade sideways for a length of time whilst they have a bullish reset. So obviously that does not mean we are going to come down. It just means we potentially having a bullish reset of those indicators. So, and obviously the shorter time frames, 4 hour looking like it's got room to run, and then 10 hour and 12 hour, like I said, they basically are still gonna be pointing down, but that will obviously change as and when if we hold here or start to move up. And then that could then give us the impetus to drive us once they do turn back over. If that is going to happen, that could definitely give us the drive to move basically up to about the 50k level that we were talking about. So yeah, interesting times, guys. Interesting times. Yeah, interesting times basically. Yeah, that is it, guys. Apologies for the slightly longer video than usual. But yeah, thank you for listening. Remember, this is not a financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. Always do your own research, and I will speak to you guys possibly later on today with a wise update.